Hey guys, and welcome. This is part 2 on my bug out Sandrail. Well, she's finally back from the shop. I sent it over to my buddies at Hilltop and they've got working on it for me, trying to finish up a lot of the stuff that I just don't have time to mess with because of my work schedule right now and near the end of the year. Well, them boys at Hilltop, we're going to start out. I'll show you some of the stuff they've done for me to get this thing super off-road and on-road. I had them replace all the push rod tubes, the oil tubes, which are those blue ones. Those are the aftermarket style. If you notice, it's got like a double lock nut where you can just pull the rocker off the head, slide out the push rod, yank the original tube out of its place, and replace those quicker without having to remove the head. While they were at it, I went ahead and asked them to put in my oil pressure sending unit. To run the gauge up front on the dash. I wanted to do away with the Volkswagen and dummy light. Let's see what else I got the boys to do. I got them to remove the rubber line that was here. It was too short. They replaced it with this like cloth type outside of this rubber line, which handles better. They went ahead and replaced this fuel filter. Got all that back to VW spec. This wiring right here, let me see if I can get it in there. The power wire comes up from your ignition. It feeds the coil. It feeds that's the cutoff for the carburetor. It's like a emergency cutoff, I believe. So once power is lost, it'll cut off. It feeds the choke right over here. And if you notice, that nice new gleaming part, that's a 55 amp alternator. I went and had the boys go ahead and put in an alternator so we can go ahead and do away with the generator completely on this, so that way when as long as the engine is running and idling, I'm producing some kind of voltage to help run those 7-inch spotlights, which I've got one here on the rear, 2 on top for when we go off-road if I need the extra lighting, and 2 for headlights. I guess it gives a new meaning to high beams, right? Well, the ones on the roof. I went ahead and I started goofing around last night. This is the main terminal, the positive coming off the alternator. I went ahead and fed it down to the starter, and as you see from the battery, it goes to a main disconnect. From the disconnect, it comes back to the starter, so that way it adds safety and security. But I went ahead and had the boys do that. They went ahead and changed the oil. They also took and sealed the oil cooler, which these are notorious to leak. I don't know if you can see it in there. If you see, there's still some remnants right there of some grease that piled up. And the biggest issue, what I had is when I ran the clutch and throttle line, which I'm not 100%. I know the Volkswagens, but I'm also a fabricator in training, so I ran everything, had an issue with the throttle sticking, and the clutch wasn't engaging right, so I went ahead and had the boys look at it up there for me. They reran my throttle for me, reran the clutch line, which I got to get in there. They welded in these 2 nuts to help guide the cables through. They work perfect, doesn't create any chafing issues. I just got to go in, since I got to touch up some paint on the Sandrail, I'll go ahead and touch that up. I had them install the shifter bushing right there. See if we can zoom in a little. That right there, that black piece bolted up to the box, that's a new shifter bushing. It helps the shifter to that rod that runs through, that helps, that goes back to the nose cone on the tranny and shifts it. They also changed out the lockout reverse plate on the shifter, which sits right up underneath the shifter. Helps keep you locked out of reverse, but I'm probably going to have to change that shifter out. It's still not locking me fully out of reverse. The e-brake assembly, it's all complete. Let me see if we can get a better angle. They went ahead. It's not the best of looking jobs, but I should have fabricated it a little bit better. That piece is actually part of the original tunnel out of the Volkswagen. Had them do that. This was one of my main reasons why my clutch wasn't engaging right. Has to have a U-bend in that piece to do a preload from what they were telling me, and they went ahead also replaced that tube. My original one, I guess, was just kind of wore out. They done all that nice and neat. I'm trying to think what else I had them do, because it was a huge laundry list. You notice my nice off-road shocks are in place. We got those are the front ones, and let's go ahead and show you the rears, because I've been kind of happy that it finally got done. It's a black shock with a chrome spring. Let's see, I'm trying to remember everything. They also went through the rear brakes that I put on. There was still something hitting the drum. I wasn't particularly sure what it was. I guess they had to shorten the spring on the inside of the e-brake cable. They went ahead and done that. They set the suspension on. They went ahead and set the suspension, since these are adjustable shocks, which actually gave me a couple more inches of ground clearance. Let me go ahead. So I don't know if y'all can see what kind of good ground clearance I got with this, but got the 31 1050 15s on the rear, and on the fronts, what do we got? We got a 325 70 R15s on the front, which it definitely gives me the ground clearance that I wanted in this rail. The speedometer, because the needle had broke, I'm gonna have to take it over into the south part of Jacksonville to a shop that's gonna have to replace the needle and recalibrate it, so I'll be able to actually tell how fast I'm going. Something I was thinking about. Here's something clever the boys done for me, which I wondered how this works. I bought, this is what they refer to as a pedal box. Well, I noticed when we were pumping the brakes up, this thing was kind of real squishy. And I was telling my buddy, I was like, you know, this thing is too kind of squishy for my, liking. The box flexed too much, but it does allows you to use a whole stock VW pedal assembly. But what they did, if you notice right here, they took a piece of round bar and welded it diagonally to strengthen the box there. And they've also went ahead, let's see if I can zoom in on it. I don't know how good it's going to come out, but right up under here is a set of welds that they put another piece in here to keep this little tab from allowing the pedals to go too far back, so that way they're set perfect, all in line. All that's done. They went ahead, when I set it up there, the tie rods weren't fully bolted down. If it was in my budget, I was going to go ahead and replace all that. No, that's the only thing. I didn't have enough money left in my budget, because I did kind of go overboard a little, so they went ahead and tightened all that up. So, but the car's driving fine. The one thing which I didn't mention to them that I wanted them to check, right here's the tires chafing the brake line a hair. So what I'm going to do is actually just come through, just for simpleness, just go ahead and zip tie right here. It should still allow it to flex both ways and have ample amount of movement, and it'll keep the tire from chafing it. I'll definitely monitor that. Here in the next couple days, by the next video I'll have on this chrome steering shaft. You see, it's Impy's nice crappy chrome plating job. Doesn't last worth anything, but I'm not going for a bunch of looks, so what I'm going to do is go ahead, sand this down. We're going to paint the steering shaft black. The lights I'm going to try to salvage. This is another cheap Chinese stuff. This is not by Impy. This is by Great Harbor Freight. They're cheap chrome. So what I'll do is steel wool this, see if I can get this rust out. And somebody told me to wax it, and it's supposed to take care of it. Well, this is I'm not gonna make it that long of a video. I'll probably post another one here in another day, because while I acquired everything, they went ahead and gave me a buggy wiring harness kit, which I looked at it. It's okay, but I'm not into the European fuses. They're harder to acquire. They're not just easily available. Like going to the junkyard, I'll swipe a handful of fuses. I've got so many, I've decided to use a blade style fuse, which I acquired a fuse box at last year's turkey rod run. Trying to decide where I want to mount it. I was thinking about mounting the fuse box right up on top of here. That might still be an option, just so that way the windshield protects it. It's also waterproof or water resistant. Not anything's really waterproof, so I might mount it up right up there on the dash. If not, what I might do is possibly like right there mount the fuse. I haven't decided exactly where we're going to mount the fuse block yet, but the wiring is going to be next, and we'll start building a wiring harness from scratch, and we'll get this sucker going. But guys, I appreciate you watching this video. Stay tuned little by little. If I didn't start wiring the alternator up, I would have went ahead and cranked it up for y'all guys, let y'all hear it. But since I've already got the main power wire running, one of the next steps is to go from this terminal right here. It'll be a straight line all the way up front to the dash. There's an amber and a green indicator lights. One of them will control this. I forgot what they call it. This one right here, you run the wire straight to one side of that light, from the other side to the accessories on the ignition. When it's in the on position, the light will light up. As soon as you start the vehicle, it loses power for a split second. It'll energize the field inside this alternator to allow it to charge, and once the vehicle runs, the light goes out on you. Just to get use out of the other light, what I might do is wire the other light into the switch that's going to control the top off-road lights, so that way in case I forget they're on or anything, I'll know just by looking. We'll go ahead and wire in the volts, the oil pressure, the tach, and I still have to figure out a horn, so this thing's basically 100% street legal, and at the same time it could be safe and fun. But guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hey, you might want to subscribe. If any comments, questions, just leave them below in the comments box, and I'll definitely reply. Thank you so much.